Trade rumors, trade rumors, trade rumors. That's what we're talking about today on the Raiders Report. And today's show is presented by Panda Supps. If you do not know, today we're going to be getting into the just win babies, and we're doing this because I love being able to talk about rumors, and I love being able to dissect and let y'all know what exactly I am thinking. If you do not know what the just win baby rumor meter is, this is it exactly. If I give some for just win babies, it means I believe it wholeheartedly. Believe it, baby. 3, 75% chance. 2, 50% chance. 1, 25% chance. If I say it's 0 just win babies, tuck rule, tuck that. It's not going to happen. So that's really important to know because we're getting in here to these Raiders trade rumors. The first thing is, will the Las Vegas Raiders decide to trade away Jacobe Meyers? Last week, I said 4 just win babies. Week before, I guess technically 2 weeks, it was 4 just win. Then it went down to 3 just win babies. Now, I'm going to sit up here. I'm going to give it 2 just win babies, and I'll keep saying it's a call in the air. Heads or tails? Let me know down below. Type H for heads, type T for tails. Jacobe Meyers wants to be dealt. He keeps making it very clear, and the Raiders know that. But even though that the Raiders know that, it sounds like this has been a conversation that, honestly, it reminds me just like the one earlier in the offseason, before the season even started, where Jacoby was like, hey, I want to be traded. The Raiders said, cool. We're not going to trade you. And then there's a report that comes out from Jordan Schultz saying that the Raiders, they're looking for that day 2 pick. Because the Silver and Black are projected to get that 4th-round comp pick in the year 2027 for Jacoby, I do think that if the Silver and Black were offered that 4th-round pick, that they would potentially look at it. Because, as an organization, 4th-round pick in 2026 is better than a 4th-round comp pick in 2027 because you don't know if you're going to be around in the year 2027. It's just the God-honest truth. Do I know that Pete Carroll is going to be back next season? Yes, I definitely do. But it does take 2 to tango. It can't just be Jacoby wants to be traded, so let's trade him. The 2nd and the 3rd-round pick, that's a really tough, I think, sell for a lot of organizations and a lot of teams out there. And I don't know if there's going to be a team that wants to make that deal for Jacobe Meyers. When I woke up this morning, I said, here are the top 5 teams that are the most likely to trade for Jacobe Meyers. Or I guess I should say, yesterday, this was my top 5 list. The New England Patriots, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Denver Broncos, the Buffalo Bills, the New York Giants. When you look at a lot of the reports, these are the teams that have been picking up the phone, they've been calling around, and they've been very, very active. From a what has happened lately standpoint, I talked to our Steelers host yesterday after Monday Night Football, and I said, what is your 2 cents on MVS signing with the Steelers? Now, technically, this signing I actually don't think is happening until, actually officially next week, but the bottom line is Pittsburgh, they got a receiver. Sperry told me he didn't think that the Steelers would be interested anymore in trading for Jacobe Meyers, so when I heard that, I go, all right, probably should take him off the list. Also, the Raiders aren't going to trade with the Denver Broncos. They're not going to send Jacoby over there. I'd be shocked if it happened. So to me, the reason why I'm getting less and less confident that Jacoby's going to get traded is because I think there's less and less suitors for him. Right now, I would say the top 3 destinations for Jacoby. Number 1, the New England Patriots. Number 2, the Buffalo Bills. Number 3, the New York Giants. I probably could still say maybe the San Francisco 49ers, but I think that there is a clear top 3 interest right now in Jacoby. In terms of projected trade cost, I don't put a team here because, again, he can go to technically any team, right, that makes the deal for him. This is what I think, though, is what the Raiders would accept in a trade. And I think that they would accept this in a trade because they want that 4th-round pick. I know what's being reported. You got to think about what's being reported. The Raiders are putting that out there to Jordan Schultz that they're looking for a 2nd and a 3rd-round pick, which probably means you're not going to get a 2nd or a 3rd. You're probably going to get a 4th-round pick if a team decides to ultimately offer that up. And if a trade does end up happening, I'll say this. I already got the whole show ready. I have everything prepared for if Jacobe Meyers gets traded, and I will be live on the Raiders Report. I don't care if it happens Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Jacobe Meyers gets traded, I will be live for that show. Also, I'm going to be live next Tuesday. I know I always go live on Tuesdays, but I'm not going to be going live at 4 p.m. Eastern time next week. I'm going to be going live a little earlier. Let's just say noon Eastern time, unless news happens before then. Noon Eastern time here on the Raiders Report next Tuesday for the NFL trade deadline. Let's go to the next trade rumor here around the Silver and Black, And it's besides Jakobi, because I think if I were to ask this question, and I have asked this question multiple times, who's the most likely to get traded? Everybody says Jakobi Meyers. So besides Jakobi, could a player on the Raiders get traded away? This one's going to be only one just win, baby. I'm going to say that there is a small shred of truth around it. There will be teams calling, and there's going to be teams picking up the phone. And I'll say this. I was talking to somebody today, and he's not featured on this list of names because I made this list of names before I had this conversation with somebody. Eric Stokes is a name that's starting to get circulated a little bit, I think, in NFL circles because of how good of a season he is having. I don't have any indication the Raiders want to move on from him. There's no indication that the Raiders want to move on from any of these players that I'm going to show you. But I do think Eric Stokes could be somebody to keep in mind if the Raiders want to try to get Darian Porter rolling here a little bit more. But I would say 5 trade candidates for the Silver and Black. Jakobi Meyers at wide receiver. Aidan O'Connell at quarterback. I don't think people realize that if AOC comes back healthy, there's a chance that he could get dealt because there are teams right now calling about quarterbacks. And AOC does have some experience, and this staff is a Geno Smith, Kenny Pickett experience. They do not want AOC. Tyree Wilson, Jackson Powers-Johnson in the trenches on both sides of the football. And I'll put Max on here again. I know Mark doesn't want to trade him. Max doesn't want to be dealt. But if a team is offering you 3 first-round picks, I think you have to at least consider it. But let's talk about the 3 players on this show that I haven't really talked maybe as much about in length as some of those other names that you just saw in terms of Jakobi and Max Crosby. Out of the 3 names up here on this list, who do you think is the most likely to be dealt? Give me a 58 for JPJ. Give me a 9 for Tyree Wilson. Give me a 12 for AOC. My answer is going to be coming up here after this YouTube ad break. I will sit up here and I will go the player out of those 3 names most likely to be dealt. I'm going to say it's Jackson Powers-Johnson, and that's only because I don't think that this coaching staff likes him. I don't know what they have against him. And when I talked to Tyree Wilson over the weekend, Tyree made it sound like to me that him and his agent have had no communication whatsoever in regards to a trade. Now, some of you might roll your eyes to that statement, but I believe what Tyree Wilson has to say, and I believe everything that he tells me is exactly what he has on his mind. So I don't think that Tyree's getting shopped. Obviously, it could end up happening. If a team would, though, get him, I'd say it'd be the Dallas Cowboys. Let's go, though. Keep it rolling here on the program. And because when you think about what the Raiders have done, and if I'm only going off of actions, and I'm only going off the actions of the bye week, are the Las Vegas Raiders buyers instead of sellers at the deadline? Because going out and signing for Tyler Lockett, that's a buyer move. It's definitely not a seller move. So are the Raiders going to buy? We're going to talk about some players they can keep their eyes on and whether or not a trade ends up happening here in just a moment. But before I get into all of that, today's show is sponsored and ran by Panda Flippin' Sups. Whether you need protein, pre-workout, BCAAs, fat burner, superfoods, get some greens. I had some greens today, and I am always amazed on how much better my body feels. Especially if I'm coming down with a little bit of a cold. I'm not sick now. I felt a little bit weird yesterday. Took a scoop of the greens, and honestly, it helps out my body. I'll say this. If you're not a greens person, think of it as like it takes gas to run a car. That's like your fuel, right? Your protein. But do you put oil in your car? It's probably more important than gas. That's the greens, and that's why you should go get greens. If you have a hard time falling asleep or staying asleep, I'll recommend the Sleepy. They do have 3 fresh new flavors out there, and I will admit, I have not tried the 3 flavors yet. They are citrus mango, green apple, and mixed berry. I have had the Sleepy, though, and for somebody that has a hard time falling asleep because my mind is running 1,000,000 miles per hour every minute, having the Sleepy helps me take my mind off of it and helps me fall asleep, helps me stay asleep, and I feel like when I wake up, I am very, very well freshed and rested. I also am somebody that has a sweet tooth, and they have a brand new Fuel Caramel Ice Cream Crunch, and it is a limited edition scoop of bliss in a shaker. Imagine vanilla laced with golden caramel swirls and packed with crunchy Biscoff cookie gems. This isn't just another protein powder. It's a creamy, crave-worthy treat that satisfies your sweet tooth. From post-workout recovery to a midday pick-me-up or a late-night dessert fix. 30 grams of protein has never tasted this amazing. Use code PANDASUPS. Use code Raiders for 25% off at pandasups.com. PandaSupps.com. That link is going to be available to y'all down in the comments. It's also going to be available to y'all down in the description of today's show. PandaSupps.com. Use code Raiders for 25% off. Let's go to the final trade rumor here on the episode, and it's, will the Raiders try to acquire a player? Will they try to make a deal? Because, again, the signing of Tyler Lockett tells me that this is an organization that believes that they should be buyers. With that being said, I am only going to give this one just win, baby, and I am not holding my breath for the Raiders to make a deal. The more and more I sit back here and I wonder, if they do make a deal, do they just try to make a minor move, right? Like, are they just trying to do a low-level move? Because that's kind of what they've done the entire year. Though, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to think about the reports and the trade rumors that are happening right now. Again, this is only one just win, baby. Raiders signed Tyler Lockett during the bye, which to me indicates that they are buyers. You got a 2-5 football team, and I know that this coaching staff wants to win, but when you look at the latest around Diana Rossini, she was really hinting that the Raiders were interested in a cornerback, very interested in a defensive lineman. So I am just going to go off of what I think that the Raiders could potentially do, and I think if they ended up making a deal, it would be for somebody in the secondary, and I think it would be for somebody on that defensive line. So what you're about to see on the program today is I'm going to break down 3 names in the secondary, and I'm going to break down 3 names on the defensive line that you could potentially go out and trade for. First name coming up here, Riq Woolen. And if this is the first time you're hearing about it, I'm Mitchell Renz, and this is the Raiders Report, because I keep talking about Riq Woolen over and over and over again. Got the connection to Pete Carroll, and because of that connection, doesn't really fit with what Seattle's doing right now, you could go out and get him. Another name, Alontae Taylor, cornerback from the New Orleans Saints. Got the connections to Joe Woods, got the connections to Marcus Robinson, our cornerback coach, and that's a guy that can do both. Can play inside, can play outside, gives you some of that physicality, and it looks like the Saints are sellers. Another name that I'm going to add here, Kyle Duggar. There are a lot, and I mean a lot of rumors. Adam Schefter reported today, I'm filming this video on Tuesday, that he is hearing a lot of rumors around Kyle Duggar potentially being released. And I am somebody that likes to say where there's smoke, there's fire. When a lot of the smoke around Jacobe Meyers happened, and the exact same moment, there's a lot of smoke around Kyle Duggar. And those are 2 teams that have conversations. Those are 2 teams that have great relationship, if we're being 100% honest with ourselves. And I know we want a player that can help out our secondary. I do think Kyle Duggar would honestly help that, but it does take, again, 2 to tango. Maybe it's Kyle Duggar involved in a Jacobe Meyers trade. I don't know what it is. But to me, these are the 3 most likely names that the Raiders could add to that secondary. Coming up next year, though, targets on the defensive line. And when you look at how the Raiders have operated this season, they've been a very sit-back type of team. They don't substitute a lot of players. And I think when you run heavy box and you have a low sub-package rate, some of the lowest in the NFL, you need to be able to get pressure. You need to be able to get after people with 4. And, I hate to even bring up his name, but the Raiders really, really, really are missing Christian Wilkins, because you could tell they thought that this team was going to be able to win with 4, and they're not even close to being able to win with 4. People that, I will ride and die with, my Noti gang. And I put out a video on the 27th, and the first 5 people to comment on that video, Early Riser, fits the name, RJ Van, James Lott, Lil Carpet, and Raiders since 74. So to all of you out there, I greatly, greatly appreciate each and every one of y'all for always tuning into the show. And if you want to be featured in the program, got to subscribe, got to hit that notification bell. If you don't know what the notification bell is, it's underneath the video. It's a bell. You click that, you click all, you're ready to rock and roll. Let's go to the defensive lineman here that I think the Raiders could potentially target. Let's start with a big name, Kayvon Thibodeaux. Now, it was reported by Jordan Schultz that the Giants are shopping him, or at least listening to offers. And then, because Schultz and Ian Rappaport and all the NFL Network guys got some weird beef going on, Garofalo reports and Ian Rappaport report that the Giants are not shopping him. I will admit, when I talked to Marshall Green earlier this week, he's our host of our Giants show at Chat Sports, he didn't seem very confident that the Giants would actually be entertaining offers. But one thing that I know about Pete, he wants a big outside linebacker hybrid, kind of like a Bruce Irvin role, and because he wants to try to recreate the Legion of Boom, Kayvon Thibodeaux will be a name to keep in mind. Another big name, edge rusher, Jaelan Phillips. And Phillips has got some relationships with some players on this team, and Phillips has got some relationships, I'll call it through the grapevine, with the Raiders. And the Raiders, with Tom Brady and that organization, very, very close. He's had some injury issues. He also played at UCLA, and I believe there was some overlap there with Chip Kelly. I don't remember exactly what the overlap was, but I believe there was at least some. So because of that relationship, makes me wonder. And then out of all of them, the one that I would say is probably the most likely, it's the cheapest name. It's Carl Granderson. No, this is not the center fielder, the former Yankee. This is a young edge rusher for the New Orleans Saints, and some teams are going to be buyers, some teams are going to be sellers. I think the New Orleans Saints will be sellers. So that is all the trade rumors that I have for you guys today on this program. And again, if any trades happen, we're going to be going live. And if you want to hang out with me next week for our NFL trade deadline coverage, I'm just going to make the announcement. We're going to be going live at noon Eastern time here on the Raiders Report. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure those notifications are turned on.